Okay, so here we are, video 4 in the series How to Heal from LPR. Probably the last video for the day because it's taking hours for me to upload these. I don't even have time to talk about this. I've already said too much. I need to crack on with it. So the last video I talked about my symptoms, the symptoms that I had, and I sort of talked about stress and anxiety. In this video, I'm just going to tell you all the things that I did to try and treat these symptoms, okay? So first off, the very first thing I did, which is probably the first thing you did because it's the first thing anyone would think to do when you get sick, is, as I mentioned in the previous video, I went to the doctor. I went to so many doctors, and by the way, I hate doctors now. Doctors in general, I'm sure there's some really good doctors out there, but for the most part, they're very, they don't listen, they're very arrogant. And I kind of feel like every time I talk to them, it's like speaking to a child. Like it's like everything I say goes in one ear and out the other. They don't even want to give you the respect of like considering that you may know what's going on with your body. Very frustrating. The worst example was I went to a local doctor in Albuquerque. I wish I could remember his name just so I could publicly discredit him. I can't remember though, it's a bit too long. But I went to him after going to some mainstream doctors because I thought, it was somebody that on Google said was a bit more holistic in his approach, a bit more alternative. He was a real doctor. He wasn't some guy in a shed, right? I'm not, but even he, as I say, he was probably the worst one. He before he even came into the room, I remember sitting in his office waiting. Before he could even get through the door, he said to me, "What do you want from me?" Like with that tone, just, "What do you want from me?" I'm like, "Nothing, bye." That's what I should have done. I stayed and talked, and it was a complete waste of time. He didn't know anything about LPR, didn't care. And it's really unfortunate because at that point I was at my wit's end, you know, and this was kind of felt like my last hope. And brutal, and I'm sure you've been there. But anyway, after dealing with all these doctors, I did all sorts of stuff. If you want to know more details, let me know, but I doubt you do. So after doctors couldn't help me, I tried to help myself. And the first thing that you do when you're trying to help yourself is you start researching things more and you change your diet. Like, I'm sure you've done that. And the first thing you do is the obvious thing. You're like, well, if I have reflux, I will quit foods that give you reflux. So I quit spicy foods, fried foods, coffee, acidic foods, got rid of them. That didn't really seem to make any difference. So I tried a bunch of other different diets, carnivore diet, vegan diet, the two extremes, ketogenic diet, paleo diet, any type of diet I tried. None of it seemed to help. One thing I did, which I may have talked about before, but I can't remember because I've deleted so many videos. I don't know if this is on one of the ones that you've seen or if it's on one that I have scrapped. But I cut sugar out of my diet. And the reason that I did that is because I was concerned that I had a Candida overgrowth. And if you don't know what Candida is, it's a yeast that lives in your gut. And it's supposed to be there in a small amount, but it feeds on sugar. And if you eat a lot of sugar, which by the way, I grew up on sugar. I used to eat just nothing but sweets. And got into a habit every night of just eating junk because I always worked out. So I sort of felt like I was always healthy, but the crap I was putting in my body, I think, was doing damage. And so Candida feeds on sugar, and it can be beer, like a lot of alcoholics, they say, get it. By the way, this is controversial. Not everyone even thinks this is a real thing. I'm not even sure if it is, but I can some of the symptoms of Candida overgrowth, if it is real, is acid reflux, and all sorts of digestive issues and fungal infections. And I used to get really bad athlete's foot. And I even had like a fungal skin infection that would like every now and again would just like cover my oh, I sound disgusting now. I'm completely healed, but it would just like, it would look like a rash, like a red rash that would go up my neck, all the way up my neck, across my chest, all the way down into places that you don't want it. And So that can be a sign of Candida, according to the people that believe in it. And so I cut out sugar because that's how you kill Candida, supposedly, is by cutting, getting rid of its food, which is sugar. And I stopped having fungal infections, I'll tell you that. In fact, there were all sorts of benefits to me quitting sugar. Just they didn't get rid of LPR. It's weird. Like cutting sugar is one of the best things I ever did because, and again, I may have already mentioned this, but just checking how long we've been. Oh, I hope this doesn't screw it up. I hope I'm not going too long. I may have already mentioned this earlier, but when I cut sugar, I realized that I was no longer getting these fungal infections. My skin got better. And I didn't have any back pain anymore. I used to have excruciating back pain. That was gone. And no longer did I get seasonal allergies. I used to get seasonal allergies all the time. Don't get them anymore ever since I quit sugar. So did that. But as I say, lots of benefits to it, but it didn't cure my LPR. I tried some other crazy shit. I did breathing exercises, Tai Chi. The breathing exercises, by the way, I'm going to leave a link in the description. I used the Wim Hof method, and if you don't know who he is or what he does, he's basically a crazy guy who sits in ice water, takes cold showers, and does this crazy breathing strategy, which I'll talk about more on other videos, and as I say, I'll leave a link in the description. Tried that. Again, didn't really help. Well, actually kind of did help me with LPR, which I'll get into more in future videos as well. And then the other thing I did is, as I mentioned earlier, stress and anxiety play a factor. So I knew, after a while, I knew that my mind played a part in this. And so the final thing that I tried, and the most helpful thing I did, is I read a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's called You Are the Placebo. And I'll leave a link for that too. It is required reading if you want to heal from LPR, okay? I'm going to have to end this here. That's everything I did. That's all I did. Oh, and worked out like crazy. Because, again, I feel like I may have already talked about this, but you're hypersensitive right now. You're hypersensitive to everything going on in your body. And what you need to do is distract yourself from those sensations. And the best way you can do that is by physical exercise. I will talk about that a lot more in a future video. Maybe the next one, I think I'll talk about the role of exercise in healing from LPR. But in the meantime, check out the Wim Hof method. Check out Dr. Joe Dispenza, You Are the Placebo. And I'll be back with another video, fifth video, I think, as soon as possible. Okay, thanks.